Yeah, but Arsenal's just low standards. It doesn't really count. I'm talking about big clubs.
What do you do with people like this? What do you do?
What's happening, people? Welcome to Grounded Manchester United. Got a special guest with us today, unlike Najee. First time on the channel, so welcome, Najee.
I appreciate having me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, wanted you on for a while, to be fair, so I'm glad you're on today. Obviously you've got Puppet Indy, who is muted, and obviously we've got RDS. Welcome back, RDS.
Yo, good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back as well. Danny will be on soon, and we've got Bryant, who may be coming on. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, guys, there's a lot to talk about today, because obviously last night there was a certain EFL exit against West Ham, which we are going to start with. And we're going to start with like what went wrong, and basically just speak about what we thought of the game, because I think there's a lot of mixed sort of reviews when it comes to this game. So we'll start off with Najee. EFL Cup lost to West Ham. What went wrong? Talk to me.
Sorry, getting a bit of feedback. Bear with me. There we go. Sorry. I think the strongest thing for me is that I've been getting on Ollie for the way in which he sets up his teams, the way he's playing football, his in-game management. That to me was his best game in terms of that was his best performance as a manager. But that's just talking about the football side of things. I think the main issues is when you make so many changes. And I understand 100% that the players that haven't played many games are going to be a little bit rusty. They're not going to have the group cohesion. However, if we were to pick certain players to play in this type of game in the first round, regardless of opposition, you will probably pick some of those players anyway. So, you would pick a Tellers before sure because you'd rest him. It's the first game. It's the first game of the cup. So, there's no excuses. That team that was still there was still good enough. And regardless of how many changes he made, the football, what we saw, or what I saw personally, was probably the best I've seen. I felt confident that we'd find a goal. I haven't felt like that in a very long time. I felt like we were 1-0 down, but we looked like we could actually go and get a goal. I think the main issue that Ollie had was that he keeps playing Martial as a striker, and in my opinion, he's not a striker. And I think when you've got two wing backs in Dallo and Tellez who just love to cross 24/7, you've got to have a striker of some form within that team. Everyone was dropping deep, including Martial. So for me, in my opinion, that's where he lost the game, because we didn't have that attacking nous. And when Greenwood came on, yes, I know he made that one run over the top, beautiful ball from Donny, and that's probably our own real clear-cut chance that we probably had actually on memory. So it's disappointing that he's setting, in my opinion, he's setting Martial up to fail. And we know he's not in the greatest of form based on stat padding. But in terms of Martial's overall game, if you watch his game and watch his best games previous years, what he actually does on the pitch, he's actually quite consistent in terms of his ball retention, keeping the ball, his link-up play. That's always been consistent. So for me, I just think he ultimately needs to be playing wide for most of the games, in my opinion, fighting out with Rashford for the left wing. And he also needs to be in a structured team that has balance and has structure in terms of the way we play football. Ollie seems to just he's not quite being able to knit the right plays together and the right style of football, or his coaches aren't, shall we say, to get the job done. And that's one of the most frustrating things. I think the better team lost, but either way, he's under pressure. He's got to get the results. So, it's just one of those. I think there's quite a few things that went wrong in that game when you actually pick it apart.
I hear that. I think there were. I mean, we spoke about it in sort of Spaces the night before, and it was basically, I didn't expect him to make so many changes. I thought he'd try and get, say, maybe Luke Shaw or maybe even Maguire just to play out of this bad form that they're in. But yeah, like it is what it is at the end of the day. RDS, what did you make of the game? I know you said you didn't see much of it because you were working, but what did you make of the parts that you saw?
Um, we played well. It's really all I can say, really. You know, so like like at the end of the day, like West Ham's tactic was always going to be, as soon as they got a goal up, they were going to basically defend deep with like 4 banks of 4 and basically not let up. And we basically just struggled to break the team down. I think we when I was looking in the second half, like we just ended up just getting frustrated. I think that we missed a kind of like a Paul Pogba. Bruno obviously, you know, shooting from, you know, here, there, and everywhere. But there was like, it was, from what I saw towards the end of the game, it was kind of like a lack of composure, a kind of like when we're down, when we're just like, it's like who's rallying the team? Like we don't really kind of know what to do. So that was interesting much. But I don't think you can say that we played badly in this game or something. I just think at the end of the day, West Ham just defended well. So the irony, the irony if it is us thinking, why couldn't we have done this against Young Boys? Like, how come West Ham were able to score early? I know it was 11 men against 11 men, but like, even still, let's be real, our best 11 or 10 are still better overall than the West Ham team. So how are West Ham able to see out a game, and yet United against Young Boys with 10 men, still 10 quality, you know, high quality players compared to Young Boys, weren't able to do what David Moyes clearly sort of did with this West Ham team. So I thought that was an interesting observation, because obviously I'm not going to go back into Young Boys game, but we just ceded possession and we just seemed to be disjointed. Obviously Van der Beek isn't going to play for Manchester United again after this performance. I think he had a fine performance, but clearly Ollie's going to go with Freddie McTominay from now on. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't particularly care about the Carabao Cup. I didn't get the kind of Ollie this or some of that. Like as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather us actually have less matches, given the amount of games that are going to be coming in thick and fast, and on top of the internationals and all the rest of it, and the amount of injuries that we were having over the last couple of seasons. So I don't really care. But obviously Ollie wants to win a trophy. He's out of this competition. We need to focus obviously on the Premier League and getting out of that Champions League group.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Indiana, what did you make of the game last night?
Okay, so for me, I missed the very start. But football's all about balance. And when I looked at the side, it was, I agree with Najee. Like, you know where I am with Martial. He is not a striker. You couldn't pay me enough money to tell me he was. I would never believe it. The fullbacks I agree with. And it was just, a lot of the time for me, it was no runners in behind. So Martial will come deep for the balls. Link-up play is great. But then nobody's running in behind. And even the wide players, they're not coming narrow to run in behind. And that was a massive problem, because although the football was great, it was easy to defend against. Like West Ham seemed pretty comfortable sitting back in. I know that in the comments, Mustafa saying we should have went with Varane and Baye. We didn't score a goal. And that's my biggest issue, is that although the football looks great and that's cool, for me it's about results. It's a bit like Bruno, right? People don't like him because he loses the ball, or they get frustrated with the way he plays, but his numbers, so you have to play him. I think we do have to question Ollie in the way he's set up. I mean, not having Ronaldo on the bench or Pogba on the bench, something a little bit different. I know Cavani wasn't fit, but I'm annoyed we're out, because it's a trophy I feel we could have won. And this team needs to win trophies. It has to win a trophy. I don't care which one it is. You start winning and you build on that. For me, it was the substitutes as well. Not the personnel, but the timing of them. Like, make a change at halftime. You're 1-0 down. You created pretty much nothing. You can't just live on hopes and dreams, for me. Like, get that goal, go at them, go hard. At least if you put Bruno on at half time, you've rested him for a half. Last season, you played him all season, pretty much every game. So, there are questions there. I think I'd like to see Matic play a lot more. I was surprised he actually started, if I'm honest, because he's the only player who looks for the pass and looks to break the lines, and he was trying to do that the entire game. But the movement, again, was just so poor. So although the football looks great and it was more entertaining, for me, it's about results. You've got to win them. You have to win these games. So there's a part of me that doesn't really care how it looks if we're not winning. You're not even scoring a goal, so it can't have been that great, right?
No, do you know what's weird about it? Because I thought, in terms of offensively, I thought Van der Beek and Matic did a good job with their passing. I thought the back four played okay, offensively, but it was our forwards. I thought the decision making of our forwards was really, really poor. There were a couple of times where Lingard didn't watch the overlap. He just went for a cross or a shot. It didn't work very well. There was one when Donny overlapped him, didn't make the pass to him. It was shocking because you shouldn't make an aerial pass towards Martial in the box against West Ham's defenders when you've got an overlap there where Donny can get across the face and goal and anything can happen. I think that was really poor decision making from him. He kept just trying to do everything himself, and he's not that guy. So little things like that, and that sort of loses momentum as well, right? If you've got one guy who gets the ball into good areas, he gets the ball in good areas, let's not forget, his movement's very, very good. He picks the ball up in dangerous areas, but he doesn't do anything productive enough. And that's always been my problem with Lingard. Yeah, he can score the occasional worldie and whatnot, but his overall game isn't good enough for me.
I don't think it's just him though, Rachel.
No, I agree.
You need to say that, and it's not just that. It's not just that game. I said it yesterday on the space. For some reason, and Bruno does it occasionally. He's the one who does it the least, actually. But we take that extra touch. It's always the extra touch before the pass or the extra pass. Bypass that player. Get the ball in quick into the dangerous areas. We don't need to do that. You don't need to set yourself again. You've already touched it out your feet. You should already know where the ball is going. At this level, you should know what you're going to do with the ball before it gets to you. You don't need to set yourself 2 or 3 times, turn back on yourself, then play it backwards because you've waited too long to play that pass. Nearly everyone does it. That's the most frustrating thing, and that's got to be something that the coaches
I think that's
have to be looking at and say, look, make that ball quicker. You don't need to wait around. There's no such thing as the perfect opportunity. You can't wait around because if you wait for that perfect opportunity, you've lost every opportunity. 9 times out of 10, you have to play the ball, and that's the most frustrating thing. And Lingard is the worst for it. He really is. He loves to dribble across and push that ball out, and then look for the pass again, and then he plays it normally to the right back or left back, who then plays it to the centre back, who's back into midfield, and we start again. And it's just repetitive. Take chances.
Is it reasonable to say, let's exclude Ronaldo out of the picture, but that Mason Greenwood is our most intelligent forward right now?
No, Cavani is.
Cavani
is.
Sorry, I should say that's fit. Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could wish for that. Depends how it's a preference. It depends how you look at football.
As a striker, I think he definitely has instincts. And I say instincts because I don't think Martial's got instincts as a striker. I think that's what lets him down, because for me it's a natural thing to be a goal scorer. So I would prefer Greenwood through the middle than Martial.
But even on the wing, I feel. I mean, I don't want to obviously compare him to Sancho and stuff like that. But certainly in the last couple of years, he's certainly improved his game on that side. So he's actually looking to make that pass. His runs seem to, at least from what I can see, seem to be a lot more intelligent than they were a year ago, where at times it just felt like he was just kind of just running with the ball into nowhere, not really finding anything. So I don't know, when he's not, maybe it's just from what I've seen, but when he's not played, I've noticed a significant difference in just the way that we play down that side. And I don't know whether that's just because I'm just used to seeing Greenwood now in that position, or whether he is actually more, if you put Cavani as number 9 sort of side, that he is just one of our more intelligent forwards.
Yeah, I mean, Greenwood's got, I think since January, I think Greenwood's shown that he's actually got more to his game than just cut in and shoot. I think he's improved in a lot of areas. His wide play is much better. And what I found really fascinating, but when he came on the pitch, the whole of Old Trafford stood up when he got the ball because they expected something to happen. So there's almost a reliance on Greenwood now to be able to change games. And while it's great that we've got someone as talented and as fantastic as Greenwood, it's also a little bit worrying because this is a 19-year-old kid, and with all the talent we've got in the forward positions, the fact that our fans are so excited for a 19-year-old to come and change the game is worrying for me a little bit as well. But like Greenwood's fantastic. Like, I wouldn't say a bad word about him, even though sometimes he can be greedy. But he's such a talented player. I'm a big fan of Greenwood. So, but I don't know. What would you have done? Would you have made as many changes as Ollie last night? Do you think it was a bad idea to rotate so much, or do you just think it was just one of those things where we played well enough to win and we just didn't get the win?
I mean, I'm biased because, like I said, I didn't particularly care about the Carabao Cup, to be honest. So like, even if we like people say trophy, yeah, I'm like, even if we won it, people are like, oh, it's just a Carabao Cup, and to be honest, like, I'd much like, if you'd asked me, would I rather the 3 points against West Ham at the weekend or the Carabao Cup we should choose? I would definitely go for the Premier League win against West Ham every single day of the week because I want us to be in a title challenge this season at the very least to close the gap. So I think at the end of the day, like the 11 players in that team, like what always showed is that most of those players are not going to get game time, which I think is sad because I'd like to see, for example, I've always been a Baye fan when he's fit, so I'd like to see more Baye, for example, etc. So there wasn't really going to be, I think, any time for a lot of these players. Mata is probably another good example to get game time. Now we're out of the Carabao Cup, then they're going to get even less game time. Because he's going to go and play McTominay and Fred. So I don't really begrudge Ollie for making those changes because a lot of those players are good players. You need game time. And on top of that, when the inevitable injuries happen, and they will, we need some of these players to be able to step in, and they're not going to be able to step in if they've not been able to play any games or so. And from what we saw of Ollie last season, like he only chose about 14, 15 players and barely rotated. So based on that, like I don't think he was wrong to make that many changes. Like just from the pure fact of giving players game time. But obviously, if you make those changes, the synergy isn't there, and it didn't work out. But I don't think that's because this team played badly. I just think ultimately, just West Ham came with a game plan, they executed it, and it was simple as that.
But RDS, if you can see it's not working, and again, there was a lack of movement, and even the movement that was made, a lot of the time it was poor. Decision making was poor. If you're seeing that throughout the first half, for me, you give it 10 minutes for them to settle in the second half. If you still believe in these players, you still believe in what you've put together on the pitch, then you make changes. For me, if it's not working, you make changes. Okay, we need to change something up. Martial is coming deep. He is picking up the ball. Let's move him to the left. Let's let him run at players. Let's put Greenwood through the middle. Let's move Greenwood out and put Bruno on.
I mean, I think maybe I'm being cynical here, Indiana,
but that's just where I do criticize Ollie. I don't criticize him for putting 11 players on the pitch that he believes can win the game. It's when it doesn't work or it's not working. Change it up. Whether that's players letting you down, whether you've got it wrong, I don't care what it is, what the reason is. If it's not working, it's not working. It's that simple.
I just like to understand, and I won't understand because Ollie, but I just like to understand his actual thought process around that actual team selection. Because was it a case of these players just need minutes and these are the positions I think they can play in, I think they can do a job because they're talented or they work hard or they're good enough? Or is it genuine like, no, there's actually some method to the madness of there's a reason I'm playing him here because I want this type of football and I want this to, I want to build something with this team. Like, for me, it's just like he threw all of the rejects that he feels, all the rejects together and was like, that team's strong enough based on talent and you know, that they can just go away and get the result. But you listen to his interviews and stuff, he literally talks to them like they're 1990s to 2000 footballers, like that era. Like, they work hard, they're aggressive. Football has evolved so much more since then. It's not as basic as people like to think football is no more. It's really not, because the types of formations that we were seeing back then were limited literally to a 4-4-2, and ultimately a 4-3-3 was just starting to come through. That was it. It's only recently, you know, in the past 5 to 6 years that you'd start looking at Guardiola going, well, probably 8 years now, so it shows my age, but you probably look past 8 years and go, raw. Guardiola's changed the style of football, which has brought out so many beautiful formations. Like, the game has evolved just from talent. It's just like he feels like talent is enough, work rate is enough. It's not enough, and unfortunately, you know what I mean. Like,
True.
I genuinely think he's ruining our. I think he's ruining our most talented players. I genuinely think he is. Like, without a question of a doubt, you name any manager who has any recent knowledge of good football or above average football that is better than Ollie and his coaching staff, I guarantee you Martial would not be playing as a striker, and Van der Beek ultimately will either be in a 4-3-3 playing as an 8, or he will be in that pivot with this team. No one can tell me any different. No one could tell me any different. But instead, you look at Ollie's comments regarding McTominay, saying he's a physical specimen, and he, you know, will lack his energy. Like, that's how he talks about these players. If you got some tactical awareness about it, you won't just be talking about his physicality. But he was like banging on like, this is why I love him so much, and that's cool. I'm not going to slate him, and it's not banter. Like, that's cool, but that just shows you where he is here. He hasn't got that extra, that knowledge just to go, right, I need to improve my game in terms of my in-game management or my tactics. I need a better coaching system. And unfortunately, the only way I can see Ollie getting better is if he changes his coaching stuff. But recently, as we know, he's already changed a few of his coaching stuff for a Michael Carrick and a McKenna, etc., etc. So that's not going to change. So ultimately, in order to get better football, he's got to go. He has to go, because he's ruining our best player.
To be fair, I will say this: we do look better defending. And at least from what I can see, we do look better at defending set pieces this season. We'll see what
I can't hear you. There's so much noise.
Yeah, the background noise, man.
Is there for me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, say again.
Oh, no, yeah.
No, I was just saying that, like I said, at least initially, I don't know, we'll see. So from what I can see, we certainly with the new set piece coach, whatever that we saw, was it Ramsdale or something like that. So we look better from defending from set pieces, which is something. So, but overall, I agree with your point.
I think the new coach that's come in, and pardon his name because I haven't really studied him, because I'll be honest, at the time he came in, I was so pissed off, excuse the French, that I couldn't give a rat's ass about who he was. It was just like, okay, you see, I've seen 1 or 2 drills, which isn't enough to fully go in. But clearly in the defense department, you know, we look a lot more organized, and we're still doing zonal marking, but it looks like it's actually working. Because we actually look like we know what we're doing, and that's fine. That's more than okay. I'll always give props to Ollie for, you know, bringing that coach in if it was him, which I'm pretty sure it was. You know, so you have to give him his props where it's due. But the reality is Manchester United are trophyless for a very long time at this moment, and on top of that, the pressure that he's under because the investment that's been had in Ollie's rebuild, as good as the rebuild's been, he's got to go and perform. Where's
that pressure coming from? Where's that pressure coming from?
In my opinion, all angles. I think players, because you see players not signing contracts. I better players, Pogba. Do you know what I mean? They're not signing these contracts like straight away. They're not asking for renewals. It's almost like we're begging them to stay. Do you know what I mean? So I think the pressure from the better players wanting to win stuff. I think that would be telling. A lot goes on in the dressing room that we don't know about. So it's not all roses and happiness. People think it's just vibes FC. You really think those winners, those natural born winners, just want to appreciate vibes FC?
We've shown this window. We've literally signed Ronaldo, Sancho, and Varane.
But look at Ronaldo signing. Look at Ronaldo signing. I'll tell you why it's stupid. Yeah, why it was ridiculous. Because we were offered Ronaldo. We turned him down twice, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It may have been 3 times. We turned him down twice. The uproar of the fan base of him going to Man City. Again, when the fans get vocal, we saw it with the Glazers out. When the fans get vocal, Glazers are like, oh, well, we need to shut these fans up. So ultimately, Fergie's pulled a couple of strings. Ollie's obviously pulled a couple of strings. Rio Ferdinand, who's very, very, very underrated in terms of the work he's doing behind the scenes. He had a lot to do with the Sancho deal as well. But a lot of these guys are literally pulling their only power that they've got left. That shouldn't have to be the case in the first place. We've brought him in based on the same scenario as Alexis Sanchez when we had him. We literally brought him in the same frame. So when you're bringing in a player,
Ronaldo will have a more better impact than Alexis Sanchez, though. But yeah, go on.
No, from in terms of Man City, like Man City were Bob's on, and then Edward was like, "Yo, we'll pay you more money," because you know that's how they run, businessmen. You know, dick swinging competition. I'll swing my piece around, and I'll beat you. I'll beat you to it. It's a lot of rubbish. So ultimately, we're then, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy. I got a flipping Ronaldo poster right there. Like I almost took it down when he was going to City. I was hurt. Don't get me wrong. I understand the nostalgia value, right? But understand that it wasn't made based on a footballing decision. It wasn't made on a footballing decision, because if it was, we would have signed him when we had him. Now, during that period of time, it just so happens that we've been waiting for a DM. And the board, and I believe it was Edward would have saying, we have to sell in order to buy. So when it comes to Ronaldo, we can go and get him. Now, don't get me wrong, he was cheap. But think from a business perspective. The money that he would generate would pay for his sales, meaning the Glazers could lose money, but then recoup it within the space of 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas if we buy a DM, they probably have to wait for a trophy or a player to be sold to recoup that money. And that's not going to happen.
I think it's been come out from the club that we've known that, like, at least according to Ole, that a DM was not seen as a priority. That seems to be what
maybe not a priority, but again, if you're it's been very well known that we were looking for a defensive minded or a solid midfielder, regardless, more than we were an attacker. That's one thing for sure. That's a fact. So all the T1 journalists that you can go and find out there have come through with this news. Actually made bids, actually made massive approaches. We're talking to clubs. So you wouldn't do that if you weren't serious about signing at least one of them.
Yeah, so, but let's be real. Did we make any real serious bids for any real defensive? I'm not saying that we weren't in the hunt for it. Like ultimately, like bringing things sort of back. Like I think my sort of my general point was when talking about overall pressure and stuff like that. And for me, when I look at the whole Ollie situation being real when it comes to that, because for the first point, to be honest, I don't think that they really cared that much. And that's why I think the first 11, I think it generally was just game about game time rather than tactics and game management.
Oh, yes.
In my opinion. So yeah, go on, Indiana.
Sorry to interrupt. He literally said it after the game. I saw the quotes today. So people know I don't watch press conferences because they're too generic for me, from players and managers. But I saw a quote where he literally said, everyone knows there's competition for giving your players minutes.
Yeah. He
literally said it. And then the fact he made that many changes, it tells you he seems to think, again, I don't agree with his thinking in it because I wanted that trophy. He seems to think he needs to maximize the other competitions because I guess he thinks he can win them. I have to assume he thinks because he's got Ronaldo, he can win the Premier League and the Champions League. So he's done exactly. Listen, man, the reason why I'm pissed, RDS, you may not know, before the game, 24 hours before, I literally said, if he makes that many changes, we're going to lose. I know this team. I know these players with him. Yeah, when has he made this many changes and won a game?
No, I can't think.
When?
Did he make?
Never. So the fact that he's done this, it tells you he didn't care about this trophy. So from his perspective, he doesn't think he needs to win the League Cup. He doesn't think that's a trophy he has to win. Otherwise, he would have picked a better team. Do you know what I mean?
So could that be a suggestion then that he's under pressure to win something significant this season, otherwise he leaves? Because I think the people higher up, they all know how much has been spent. And like when you think about the summer that we had with Varane, Ronaldo and Sancho, big players, do you think that this season he's actually under pressure to win something and it's not just top four only?
No, he's under pressure to win the Premier League and the Champions League. Yeah, I was saying this in the space yesterday before. I think Najee left at this point.
Must have, bro.
What we were saying was that what I was saying everyone disagreed with me, by the way. He's qualified for top 4 twice already, right? Then he's went and got Ronaldo, Sancho, and Varane. How can he can't claim that top 4 is enough anymore? Even the Glazers will have to look at it and say, no, you've made top 4 twice. We've given you Ronaldo. You made a phone call. We told you to get a midfielder, it's this. You made a phone call to Alex Ferguson. You pulled these strings to get Ronaldo. What, you think he's gonna settle for no trophies? You think that squad's gonna be happy now with Varane in there as well? World Cup winner, Champions League winner.
Danny, I think the phone call went the other way around.
No.
I don't.
Okay, so
I
do. I can't. So Indiana, I can't. What Najee was saying as well about us being offered him 2 months before, it came from the same people that said Ronaldo called the Glazers. So I can't pick and choose to say I can believe what Laurie Whittle said about this thing, but on this thing, Laurie Whittle's lying. I can't do that. Yeah, the Athletic reported on this in detail. I'm taking them. Yeah, I'm taking what they said at face value, innit? Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that game. But ultimately, listen, man, he's got to win a Premier League or Champions League, or he has to go. It's simple as that. And
I don't know.
People are skeptical about the Glazers for obvious reasons, but I think the situation is different. He's made top 4 twice already. How can even him, say I've made top 4 3 times? That's enough. It's not enough anymore. He's changed he's changed the benchmark. It used to be top 4 minimum, but you did that twice. It can't be that anymore, in my opinion. I think they'll get rid of him.
The reason why I disagree with that is because, like, I'm looking at the appointments outside of obviously with the coaching staff, the director of football management, all those things, and all of these like appointments, obviously in the coaching staff, but even director of football, technical director, and all the stuff around that, it seems to be more around the boys' club familiarity. People who know each other around Manchester United. Like, it's not like right, we need to go out and get the most experienced, the best, whatever it is in that particular sort of position to give us an edge over our rivals. It seems very much on this kind of family-friendly like network of players.
But see, Red Devil, sorry to interrupt you. Look, I don't disagree with your train of thought, but that was you're 2 years too late with that train of thought. That was the plan when he came in.
Well, not even just recently that the obviously Woodward's gone and they're hiring an internal.
But that's standard. That has no bearing on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's targets not meeting him and him keeping his job. There's no connection between Richard Arnold getting Woodward's job and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer keeping his. There's no connection there. This whole thing about, like, John Murtough was his friend when Ole came to the... I've heard people say John Murtough's his friend. Since when? Since when are they buddies? When Ole came to the football club? Like, the people are overstating these things. That was 2 years ago. That was a year ago. It's different this season. It's different this season. How can top 4 be the minimum when you spent £400 million or whatever it is, and you've got Ronaldo?
The thing is, Danny, this is where I have to not disagree, but I have to add a little bit more context to this idea that these Glazers are thinking on the wavelength of fans. They really, really aren't. In order for United to grab Ronaldo and to spark the actual bid off to get him, we had to I'm not going to say we. Manchester United, seniors in Manchester United, had to tell the Glazers who Ronaldo was on the comparison of who Tom Brady is. They have absolutely zero football intelligence and understanding of football in general. They couldn't even tell you how far the penalty spot is away from the goal line. They couldn't even tell you what to put on goalposts to make a goal. Like, genuinely, bro. And answers nets, just in case some people didn't get it in the comments. But either way, my point is this. They genuinely only talk and think and speak and whatever from a business perspective. It's not football perspective. And you could have the you can give them 1% of football knowledge from a fan's point of view. They wouldn't give a shit. They just don't. So it is about top 4. And for example, let's be honest. People are playing down these trophies, as if like, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse Cup or this, and this. Manchester United win everything. People talk about this DNA. The same people who say Mickey Mouse Cup are the same people who are saying Ollie's put this DNA back into the club. You go for every trophy, regardless. You dominate everything, whether it's this small club, bragging rights. You're the best at absolutely everything. That is the mentality. We're no longer a part of that mentality. Those standards have considerably dropped into case of we'll put excuses in place just to cover up the fact that, oh, well, we don't want this cup. If you go and look at Ollie's press conference, he's playing the cup down like, oh, yeah, it's nothing. And he's been a part of ultimately the same Manchester United that we all, well, a lot of our fan base in terms of who people maybe got to experience Fergie. Sorry, but just run quickly. If you're able to appreciate where you come from and the morals that come behind it, you can't just not go for every trophy. I don't care what rival fans think. They don't know about Manchester United. Don't know the connection to winning everything and dominating everything, being the best, because it sets the standard that no matter where you are and what you do, what you play for, you are there to win, regardless. And that is not happening at Manchester United anymore.
I just wanted to add to your point about Ollie. So the irony is this, yeah, people forget he was there when Sir Alex Ferguson built that new team and Ronaldo's first trophy was a League Cup. Yeah, the first trophy for Rooney and Ronaldo, because Giggs had already won, Real had already won, Scholes had already won, etc., was a League Cup. I'm pretty sure he scored in that final. You might have come off the bench and scored, you know.
I was just about to say, was that the one we played Millwall that season?
Was it Wigan? I think it was Wigan.
Blue, I remember blue shirt, yeah.
Maybe he didn't get on, but he was there for that rebuild. He was a part of that team. So he's seen it. He understood Sir Alex Ferguson for 2 years. These boys need to win a trophy. And again, he weren't talking about Giggs, Scholes, Rio Ferdinand, Gary Neville, Van der Sar. He was talking about Rooney and Ronaldo because he knew they were going to lead that team. So for him to, that's what I'm saying. He must really think he's going to win the league. He must really think he's going to do something in the chat. He must really think this. To turn his nose up. You ain't won nothing for 2 seasons. You've been beaten in the one final that you got to that you shouldn't have won. And let's be real, you were lucky to keep your job anyway. If the owners had standards, you would have been fired for that. Again, I forgive him because I'm thinking about the rebuild, innit? But nah, not this season. Not this season. You're supposed to take that trophy.
Danny, this is one of the biggest issues I've had. Yeah, a lot of people that, especially the Twitter fan base, who don't really necessarily know. They see a bunch of words and read it in their own tone and language and think that's where you're coming from. People need to understand, yeah, I backed this guy from day dot to rebuild this club. No questions. Because I fully understood that Ollie was the only manager out there available that understood Manchester United to what I believe a lot of old school Man United fans understand the club to be. He understood what type of players, and I don't mean talent, I'm talking the mentality. I'm talking about, people call it Vibes FC, but genuinely to build back that family foundation that winning was based off. Fergie came out with a comment regarding he wasn't there to build a team. He wanted to build the club. And in order to build the club, you set foundations. And when you've got those foundations, if your foundation is strong enough, even if you have a little drop off, when we lost Ronaldo, people are like, oh, you'll never win anything again. He was able to rebuild it because the foundation was so strong. Ollie's been a part of that, and there's no other manager, whatever CV they've got, there was no other manager that were able to do that rebuild. So I've sat in barbershops getting a trim, almost getting my beard like fully shaved off because some idiot, well not some idiot, but one of my friends, I call him an idiot, is chatting a load of was saying Ollie out, and I'm saying, look, this rebuild needs completing. He's the only one to be able to complete it to a standard of Manchester United to build a foundation. But I'll tell you one thing, and I always said it, I'm not Ollie forever. I'll always back him for a rebuild, but I'm not Ollie forever. Because I questioned whether he'd be able to actually do the bits on the pitch once he's done this rebuild. And for me, he's consistently not being able to do that for this will be his 3rd season now, I believe. For these seasons, and I'll go into the 3rd season because we've seen enough games now where he's had ups and downs. For 3 seasons or 2.5 seasons, 2.25 seasons, however you want to word it, I've seen similar patterns of mistakes in terms of basics being missed out on the pitch. So that doesn't fill me with confidence, knowing that even when he has got a better team, that those areas are going to improve. I've not seen that. So ultimately, my guess or my opinion from when he first signed the contract is pretty much coming through, because he's done an incredible rebuild. But just because you've done an incredible rebuild doesn't mean you can go win on the pitch. Doesn't mean you're tactically good enough to take us to the next level. And let's not get it twisted. As I said, our standards have dropped. We need to be challenging for every trophy, regardless of what fans say.
Well, I mean, I disagree on the notion that, to be honest, like I've always said, why this notion that like you need years of rebuilding stuff like that to win trophies, because well, you just look at Chelsea's model. Like they just like sack a manager, bring another manager. They don't have managers that build. They're a
different football club, though. I don't.
Yeah, no.
Sorry,
I know they are. I'm just saying, just as a point of fact, isn't like in like the idea that like you need to like you don't, like technically, and we have evidence of other football clubs that do that. I agree that Manchester United is a different football club. It's not run in the same way. You know, Abramovich just, you know, here 300 million. Do whatever, get this, get that, I don't care, whatever. You know, we're not obviously going to do that, Manchester United Football Club. But like overall, like I don't think that this, like from what I've seen the last 8 years football consistently, what I've seen, the only constant I've seen is that when, because I think it was a comment by Manchester Anthony saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a danger being sacked at Everton from what the rumours were saying. Well, yes, but that was because we looked like we were on a bad run. Burnley was so far from potentially top 4, but like that he potentially would have been at. That was why. But like if you're now like right now, Manchester United are like joint first. You know, so of course he's not going to be in danger of being sacked. And obviously, last season we finished second. So the evidence that I've seen from the last 8 years is that the consistent thing is if you get top 4, you are in a job. Van Gaal won the FA Cup in his last season, which is a trophy, and finished 5th and got sacked. And I get it. Maybe it was because Mourinho and fear and whatever. But even the Mourinho getting second place in the previous season and not being fully backed going into the season and losing the dressing room gets sacked. So the only consistency I've seen in the Glazers' thought process is, are we getting regular Champions League football, and is there contentment in the dressing room? So the way I sort of see it is that unless there's like a massive turn against Ole in the dressing room, which we've never really seen that, to be honest. You know, and most often when we heard something, it's outright been a dialogue. It's not been any different than any other football team has, because every football team has disagreed.
Oh, yes, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. He's not going to lose that dressing room in a way that's toxic and they fall off a cliff.
Exactly.
I think,
and I don't
think
that the
Glazers.
Sorry, I'll just make my point. And I don't think the Glazers care enough that much, even with this like investment, because to say, well, okay, he finishes. I don't know. I think Manchester United are going to finish top 4 easily, because I think that Spurs and Arsenal and other clubs are in a much worse situation than we are in anyway. So I don't think that is going to be a problem this season. Where we are finishing the top 4, you know, maybe 3rd, I don't know. But I don't think that's going to be such a significant issue to the Glazers that they'll go, yeah, you spent all this money, we're going to sort of pull the plug. I just don't think that's
I think that's wrong, and the reason why I think you're wrong in that is because I think fans are only going to take so much, and the way it will happen will be the fans in the stadium, especially Old Trafford, and then it will filter down to the players, and then you will lose the dressing room. It will be that way. It won't be direct to the manager, but the fans aren't going to stand for it. Just sign Ronaldo. Just sign Ronaldo. Fans in Old Trafford would expect to win things, and they should. We should expect to win things. I agree with Najee, and I've always been the same.
But I don't think I don't think even in previous managers I ever really saw the fans in the stadium.
I was just gonna say, Najee, sorry,
Najee,
do you see those match-going fans protesting against Oli at the end of the season if we make top 4?
Respect for the. I don't. I believe I know a few match-going fans, and the private conversations I have with those guys. You know, some of them are in the professional business and their reputation in terms of the face that they have. They can't really be seen in there, but they would 100% back and support what's going on. They kind of report on what's going on and be honest with their views. There's some match goers that have been going for 30, 40 years that I know. Shout out to my oldest, very much oldest. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they've seen enough of Manchester United winning and losing. They just go to enjoy the games, unfortunately. So they're those kind of bracket people are results people. They're like, we got top four with Champions League, we go again. Like that kind of, I'm not going to say outdated, that's really disrespectful, but kind of that older generation mindset. They don't really think too deep on it. And that's cool. I think maybe 20-30% of them potentially would do. But I think a lot of it's influenced now by social media and what's going on and what's the vibe. A lot of people who, and I'd say insecure in their own ideas and their own thoughts and who they believe they are, they just jump on bandwagons. And that was pretty much seen throughout the Glazers Out protests. You have people Glazers Out signs going to buy merchandise, so they're not really taking on board what's actually necessary for us to go forward. It's just, this is the vibe, this is why everyone's doing it, so let's just jump in because we're supporting United. They don't even know what they're doing. So I'd say 30% maybe. But that is a random guess, and
the reason why I asked this is because I just don't see this scenario where the fans protest, because that's what it would have to take.
No, I do.
I
actually do, Danny. I really do, and I think even the threat of protests now for the Glazers would be, because for me, the Glazers spent the money because of the protest, right? Like that's why it happened. So the threat of that happening again.
Partially, I don't know. Like, because come on,
you got RDS. You got way too much faith in the Glazers. I'm telling you.
No. It's not faith.
The reason why they sacked Van Gaal is because Van Gaal wasn't happy, and he was pushing back. That's the reason why he had to leave, regardless of the fact he won a trophy. He was pushing back. He didn't get the players he wanted to sign.
You telling me you can't tell this summer the way we moved, these transfers, it wasn't motivated by the protests?
I mean, first of all, for starters, let's be real. Like we've been trying to get Sancho, and looking at Sancho for more than a year, and we got Sancho like at a cut price deal from Dortmund. So as far as the Glazers are concerned, they're like, oh yeah, we got Sancho, great, yeah, we didn't have to spend 120 million last season. We've got him for 70-something million. That's a good steal. We were never in for Ronaldo. We never knew that Ronaldo was going to come to like Juventus. So if events happened differently, we wouldn't have been in for Ronaldo. So really, the only marquee buy was Varane. And even that circumstance, that situation, I don't know whether we had the foresight to know that Varane wasn't going to sign an extension with Real Madrid. I don't think that was known. So when you look at, were there any clubs for them? Not really, because PSG, they've got Ramos, Chelsea kind of new Thiago Silva contract, etc. There weren't really any other clubs, and the club did say that signing a centre back was a priority. Oh yeah, okay, cool. You can get Varane for 35 million to the top club. That's it. Like none of those, like when I break every signing down, none of those signings were they're good signings, but they weren't unreasonable signings that any well-run club could go out and get.
I'm not saying they're unreasonable. Like, I'm saying they moved quicker than normal to confirm, because even though I know the Bryant deal took long to do, but you can see there was a level of urgency we haven't seen in 15 years. I'm talking with Sir Alex Ferguson.
I disagree because the Sancho deal, that deal has been going on for goodness knows how long. So and then the Ronaldo deal, like I said, like that was completely unexpected.
No, that Ronaldo deal, RDS.
The pressure came. So really, it's just
deal very quickly.
Go on, yeah.
I remember someone put a picture up. I'm sure everybody's seen it, of the queues outside of Old Trafford at the merchandise store, going all the way down to the main road to get Ronaldo shirts. And when I saw that video, RDS, I put this in our group chat as well. Indiana would have seen it, where I was like, the Glazers have won the battle. They've won the battle. Correct. They've got Ronaldo. People are going to be so passive for at least a year or maybe longer. Like they won the battle, man. That Ronaldo, as soon as Ollie called and said, "Yo, Ronaldo wants to come home," they were like, "What? We can get Ronaldo in? Oh, we can get the stock price up." We can tick boxes with the top reds. Jesus, yeah, we're going to do
yes,
that.
yes. You have to really put into context here that if you look at when we and numbers are there, so you can go find them. When we got into Champions League, and this is under Jose, under Van Gaal. When we got into Champions League, the spend for the next summer was half, or around half. Sorry, percentages maybe about 52, 53 last time I checked. But I think that was based on net spend, and net spend isn't really 100% accurate because you have to take in account wage bills, agency fees, everything else. So it all gets added up. So it's around 50. It's around 50 to 60% that bracket. That's the closest margin you'll find.
Yeah.
When we get into Champions League or top four, however you want to look at it, the season after, I think it was around 60 to 65 million that was spent. That's Manchester United, by the way. When we come out of top four, it was 120, 130 mil. All right? If you're consistently trying to buy players to build this club up from a footballing perspective and reason during a rebuild, and you're Manchester United, we shouldn't be seeing, once you've reached top four, we'll save money here and we're not going to spend here, here, and here. People forget, and I hope some of you remember, but people forget Fergie's last couple of signings. Michael Owen, Gabriel Obertan, Valencia. You cannot tell me on the face of it that they are Sir Alex Ferguson signings. You can't go to me and go, raw, Fergie's had to stretch there. Fergie's never had to flipping stretch unless it was the start of his own career. He's never had to stretch for signings. 100%, read between the lines, 100%. Glazer's coming in at United. I know we mentioned about him retiring because his wife needed him, but I think genuinely that on the face of it, it's because he knew he wouldn't be able to run the club in the way that he was able to run it
100%.
And that
100%.
that was my without belief forever. 150,000%. No one can tell me no different. I may be wrong, and that's fine. I can hold that to the chest.
Najee, I agree with you. I've been saying this for a long time.
100%. When you know that's happening, you know that your fortress is about to collapse. You know your fortress is about to collapse. And what did he do? End up taking a little backseat in the club, so he's still getting paid and be kind of watching over it. But people think he's running strings in that club. He's not running strings unless it's necessary. He's pretty much a face of United because it makes the Glazers look absolutely amazing.
No, he's
running strings now because I always have this conspiracy theory. After Moyes, I think there's politics. Yeah,
100%
politics. And him and Bobby, they lost their voice when Moyes flopped. Yeah, then don't get it twisted. Sir Alex Ferguson told him about Mourinho. Do not bring that man in here because when he is done, there's going to be nothing left. The reports have always said that Sir Alex Ferguson did not want Mourinho at this football club. Mourinho comes, Mourinho does what he always does, but we don't have foundations to deal with what he does like other football clubs do. Yeah? Then I always say this to people as well. Ed Woodward has no relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Why would Ed Woodward get it in his mind to go grab this man from Mulder? You think that's Woodward's thinking? You think that's his brain? Even if you think it's a dumb idea to get Ole, he's not even dumb enough to think of that.
Bro, Danny, you have to think of it from a business perspective. These man, whenever he's mentioned these men, anything above Ollie, look at it as business. How do businessmen act? They literally try to cover up their own asses forever because all they do is lick each other's arse, and then they go around do some swingers club and they start dissing each other, but then the background the next morning go licking his arse again. That is
what
businessmen for you.
Fact. After Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson's voice was heard again. Yeah, and you come back into power like I told you this would happen. Yeah, go get this man Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because the culture at the football club has to be restored first. Yeah?
Correct.
And that's what's happened. I've always said he's Sir Alex 0.5 or 1.0 or even 0.25 if you want to call him that. Yeah, but he gave him a blueprint. It's not a coincidence he started with a defense. Yeah, I'm going to rebuild Man United. Let me try. Who can I get rid of? Smalling's got people want to buy him. Cool, because I can't sell Phil Jones. I'll get rid of Smalling. Cool. Let me bring in Maguire. Valencia retired 6 months ago. Let me bring in Wan-Bissaka. Then he's gone from there. Made some mistakes with Van de Beek, etc., etc. Like if you're not going to play him, why'd you get him? We'll find out in the book what happened there. I can't wait to find out what happened there. Cannot wait. 5 years.
No, 10 years. Danny, the whole of Ollie's tenure will be a really interesting read. Like that, the whole thing will be interesting just to know, like whether these were his signings. what the structure was supposed to be, the players that he wanted, the way he wanted to play. Because for me, he's gone by the end of the season anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that, like, again, he was here for a rebuild.
Yeah,
Like, that's the contract.
and he was the perfect guy for it, Danny. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
again,
against that, but I think we're at the level now where he needs to leave.
I don't want people to think that I have a high opinion of the Glazers. I don't. I do not have a high opinion of these people. I just think priorities get readjusted based on what you get used to. You know, when they talk about, you know, the Chris Rock drop, women can't go backwards in lifestyle. Sorry, Rachel. But you're saying women can't go backwards in lifestyle. Once you get used to something, I ain't going back to, you had me in a Range Rover. I'm not going with them broke-ass guys trying to put me in a Ford Focus. No, thank you. Like, the Glazers have got Champions League football 2 seasons running. Yeah. From their perspective, they've spent money.
Yeah.
They're going to want to return and say, actually, at some point, like, who's going to tell these guys? You know, you'd make more money if we were Premier League champions and we won a Champions League, right? We'd make more money if you did that. Like, it's going to sink in at some point, especially, and again, I don't think this is going to happen, but if Ollie flops, and by flop, I mean, it's not even just not winning trophies, but you're nowhere near a title challenge. With Ronaldo here, you think with Varane here, at that point, the pressure will be on him. If come January, Chelsea, Liverpool, and City, 3 of them or 2 of those 3 are clear, he's in trouble. Don't get it twisted.
One of the biggest issues of him bringing in Ronaldo is the fact that, yes, he's got 2 years on his contract, but the pressure from just not only Ronaldo himself wanting to bring some form of trophy, because it's his legacy. Let's be honest, Ronaldo is a very selfish, he's an impeccable, selfish sportsman.
Facts.
Like, it is what it is, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's arrogant, whether you think he needs to be more pally, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change. He is literally the most perfect athlete of any sport that I know since pretty much Michael Jordan in terms of mentality, right? So he's got his own ego, his own confidence that he wants to fulfill. I call it his own personal goals. Call it ego. I think he's got his own personal goals, and he's more than within his right to have them. He's a human being. We've all got our chances to have our goals. Some people don't go for them. Some people don't. Some people want it so bad that they'll do whatever Ronaldo is doing. Some people just rely on their own talents. Regardless, he's got his goals. He wants them. Cristiano Ronaldo right now only has 2 years at United. He wants to win something. Pogba, I'm pretty sure the only reason he's going to sign is because probably Ronaldo's here and he's got a chance of winning something at United. He's come to his prime years of his career. He wants to win. He doesn't want this stupidness where it's like, I have to play a left wing here. I've got to play centre. I've got to play centre mid here. I've got to, I may play cam.
I'll say it right now.
I'm still not playing consistently with the.
I'll say it right now. Pogba's not signing.
I don't think he will.
Yeah, like he'll leave.
Danny mentioned about getting to January. Yeah, he's free to chat to anyone by January. Yeah. So if Ollie doesn't leave before that, if he's not gone before that, and January gets there, and we end up being maybe 10 points adrift of City, Liverpool, or Chelsea in the top 4, and we've already had a shit start in the Champions League, and then you've got the extra pressure from that, then ultimately we'll start losing our key players for the next manager to come in. If you think about it, if Pogba leaves, Van der Beek leaves, Martial leaves, no matter what you think of them in terms of their form, their ability is pretty much irreplaceable in this market, especially when we've already spoken about the Glazers. So by then, Ollie's already left, but at the same time, we've lost 3 key players. That's minimum. 3 key players that we won't be able to go and rebuild with because we've got Glazers there. Right? That's facts. So it's either Ollie goes, we get to keep those players and give them a manager.
I think it's a bit of a stretch to say that getting a new manager of that will mean that those players will stay.
I'm sorry, bro. It can't be a stretch. You got to think of the mentality of these guys winning. So you think those best players right now at Manchester United are looking at Ollie seriously and looking at what's going on the pitch? If we're fans, Okay. If we're fans, right, and we can see these issues, and it's not like elite issues, it's basic footballing issues.
No. It's just.
Are you trying to tell me that Pogba, Ronaldo, Bruno, and by all means answer this, if you're telling me those players can't see what's going on the pitch and can't see what we're seeing with their eyes, we're not going anywhere.
What I'm saying is each individual player's circumstance is different. That's what I'm saying. So you're grouping all these players. So, for example, like you look at an example, you look at Mbappe. Mbappe's got a world-class sort of team. I know Mbappe is not going to sign in a contract extension with PSG. He's going to Madrid, even though I would argue that PSG have a much better squad than Real
why
Madrid
does he want to go to Real Madrid? Because it's his boyhood club. Same way Ronaldo. That happened.
Yeah, I know. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are other. I don't think, even if we sack in the case of Pogba, generally I don't think that even if we bring another manager, that like he won't extend. In part because I think that like other big clubs are more than willing to offer, because they don't have to sign a transfer fee, are more than willing to offer 400k, 500k, etc. And possibly the Glazers may not want to offer that. And then he just might want like a new experience, something different.
No. Just whilst you're on that point, bro, I have to cut in there because you spoke about him potentially getting more money ultimately. That's what you're alluding to. Correct me if I'm wrong before I carry on.
Yeah, well, no transfer fee extension.
So when he had the chance to go
to Madrid,
when he had the chance to go to Madrid, he came to United and took less money. So he's not a money head. He wants
no. But bro, the teams won't have to sign the transfer fee, which means that they'll be able to offer.
Yeah, but United could still offer the same wages. What I'm saying. So even if you're saying it's 50k more, yes, they may be able to pay it, but he won't go because of that. He will go because ultimately he wants to win trophies. You've seen his stats. You've seen his interview. Recently, people chatting hard about you got 7 assists, you can break this record. The guy doesn't care. He just wants to win trophies.
Yeah, of course. I'm just
if he wants to win trophies, if that's his foundation, forget the extra 50k. He wants to win, and he'd be happy to win.
What I'm trying to say is that like a new manager sort of coming in isn't going to suddenly automatically mean, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to sign that contract extension with Manchester United. There are clearly other things going in the back, and to be honest, I personally don't think that Pogba has a good relationship with the Glazers anyway, after they triggered his contract extension, from what we hear from the club, without him knowing. So
I don't understand the link between Glazers and Pogba.
I'm sorry, if you sign a contract 4 years with a possibility where it's in the club's power to extend, they don't do it without your knowing. You get notified.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Trust me, Raiola would have said something.
Yeah,
he's not staying quiet. So
the from this whole thing, like especially like with what Riola's been saying and stuff, and his attitude towards the club, because Riola's not just said stuff about Ollie direct. I don't think Riola said much about Ollie specifically. Riola said more about like how the club is behind the scenes, etc. And he's saying that for the last 2 years or so.
But he's changed his tune on that. That's what I don't. People need to stop taking. Like, if you give me the quotes of him criticizing the football club, he did it 18 months ago. He did it last season. I was pissed at Pogba because of it. Because he went in on the structure of the football club hard. Don't get twisted. He was spitting facts, which is I don't want to hear it from you. That's what it was really. But I think that's just that he said, yeah, Paul Pogba's part of a project. Man United are making progress. Don't listen to that guy. Ultimately, if Pogba thinks that the team is going somewhere because players outlast managers, he will stay. If the football clubs he thinks wants him, because bear in mind his agent has failed at his job. Your client has wanted to leave for 2 seasons. He's still here. You keep telling him Juventus want him. Juventus had an opportunity to get him. Instead, they went and got Ramsey on a free transfer and Rabiot.
Right.
Yeah, Real Madrid. The only big signing they've made is Hazard. Yeah, go look at their transfers. All young players under 25.
To be fair, Dan, I don't think anyone, because there's a chance that we know that like Real Madrid would have signed him, but obviously no one anticipated the whole COVID situation.
Even before COVID, right? Even before COVID, again, if you listen to credible sources in Spain, they would have told you Zidane liked him. The football club didn't. The football club was like, he's not a priority for us. Why do we need to spend what Man United wanted at the time? I think we wanted 100 mil. Why do we need to spend it on Ronaldo? We've got Cruz. We've got what do you call it? We've got Cruz. We've got Modric. At the time, they thought Valverde was going to be a good player. Like they just like, nah, we'll spend elsewhere. That's what's happened. Like the market for Paul Pogba's sale, despite what his agent has been saying, why is he still here? Even under COVID, he's still here.
because obviously presumably none of those teams would have been prepared to offer, because obviously on the
no, but before COVID they didn't want to spend the money.
No, I'm just
once COVID hit, it was
but even under contract, those clubs were presumably not prepared. I don't know what Manchester United would have the valuation for Pogba, but I imagine at that time it wouldn't have been any more than.
An era where if you spend 100 million, the player has to be a priority, right? It can't just be willy-nilly. It's not 1999 where you can spend 30 million on some guy that's hot in Brazil and he flops and you get rid of him. It's not like that now. You're paying 100 mil and you're committing to 350 grand a week over 5 years. football clubs ain't doing that willy-nilly. So yes, before COVID, they weren't on it. Then of course, yes, to your point, once COVID happened, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. But to Najee's point before, Pogba doesn't cost us a transfer fee either. So if he's going to command $500,000 on the free transfer market, we can offer him that as well. If it's if it's 500,000, we can offer the same.
Yeah,
So,
no, I don't disagree with that. My overall just sort of point is that I don't think that like necessarily getting new manager in halfway through the season is suddenly sort of thing. Oh yes, I'm definitely going to sign a new contract with Manchester United. I'm just saying there are more factors to it. Personally,
to be fair, on that point, sorry, RDS. Paul Pogba, I think, has probably realised you can't put his eggs into a manager. You can't put his eggs in that basket. So I agree with that point about the manager. To be fair.
Yeah, my personally,
if Zidane, I don't want Zidane, but if Zidane turns up on that doorstep, bearing in mind their relationship, are you telling me he's not going to persuade him, especially when he's seen what happened with Varane and Ronaldo whilst he was at Madrid? You telling me?
I'll be honest. I think there's a good chance he stays even with Oli here. So throwing Zidane in doesn't change. From my perspective, throwing Zidane in doesn't.
I agree.
That's interesting.
I know. Maybe
Pogba's looking at the players. He's looking at the team and saying, "Hold on a second. We got Varane. We got this guy. We got that guy. This team can actually." And then let's keep it real. Where he wants to go, right? Real Madrid will always have a monopoly, right? It's no matter what, even when they're shit, Real Madrid will still be second or third somehow. I hate that league. But Juve right now is not a good place to go to. It's not the Juve that he left.
Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't.
You know what I'm saying to you? It's
100%.
not. So
I don't think he'd go Juve. To be fair, I don't think when you're. I look at any ambitious player who has a dream to play for a club. Obviously, Mbappe wants to go to Madrid. Paul Pogba would want to go to Madrid. However, he took the step to come to United instead. And whether you like him or not, forget his what do you call him? Mino. Forget his agent. Yeah, he's made the choice to come to United, even though he could have get more money at his boyhood club that he wants to play for. So that has to hold some weight in the fact that he would love to stay at United, but at the same time, he's getting the peak of his career. He wants to win something. Now, let's say he signs under Oli, and even if that was the case, I would make a strong argument that it wouldn't be because of Oli. I think maybe because Juve aren't what they are, and Madrid technically aren't what they are either. Is he going to win trophies there? So to more of Danny's point, it would be a case of players that we've got around us may actually make him sign. But deep down, I think he's stuck between a rock and a hard place now because I don't think he's going to get trophies. I don't think he's going to get trophies whilst being at United, whilst Ollie's in charge. That's just my opinion.
No, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. Weiss has a question for us though. Says if Ollie gets sacked, who would be your manager choice? Please all answer and explain your choice. I'm going to mute because background noise. Indiana, you go first.
Okay. So for me, firstly, for the first 2 months, I'd like Poch just so we can get rid of this myth that he's just some elite manager, and then we can get rid of him. And then I don't have such an issue with Zidane actually. With the players that are there, but I've been thinking a lot about what Danny said the other week. Luis Enrique, I think would be great. I'd just like, for me, as long as it's the right choice, and I don't care whether we have to poach a manager from another club. I don't care what it is, as long as it's the right choice and it's a plan and it's direction from the technical directors, like there is a structure going through and not just a big name because they're a big name, because they've won something. I'd be happy with the right guy. And I don't really care who that is. If I'm honest with you, I've got no real preference. I want United to dominate, not just.
Do you want Graham Potter? Do you want Graham Potter?
For about 2 weeks, so we can prove that he's...
Brighton's patterns of play are revolutionary, man. You get Graham Potter in.
Oh, it's so cringe when people speak about it, honestly.
Outstanding.
Is that who you would have, Danny?
Hell no, that's who Johnny would have.
Yeah, I know. I know who you want.
Najee, you guys already know it, but maybe not. All I'm thinking about, I look at the team on paper first, then I work my way from there. Luis Enrique is the manager I want. He's handled big egos before. No issues with Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. Those guys loved him. the brand of football he wants to play, it insists on having a technical midfield. It insists on having positionally intelligent midfielders. It insists on having midfielders who can create angles for passes and execute those passes between the lines. And that's what this team is screaming out for me. So I'm hedging my bets on him. He's a top manager, of course, but I know he'll bring midfielders in that I like. And you know, I've suffered long enough. I've suffered for a long, cleverly Anderson. You know, I know we had Carrick, but you know, since then, man, Schneiderlin, for Herrera, Fellaini,
horrendous.
Just
Nightmare.
Fred.
No,
Fred.
listen. Well. One Fred is enough.
Parody. The guy kills the ball with the top of his foot when he gets it in the center of midfield. Do you know how? Listen. So I need a manager who's going to give me. Indiana. He kills the ball dead and kills.
I know, Danny.
He steps on it on purpose. He does it on purpose, Fred.
Anyway. Oh, Danny's just traumatized. This last week's gotten to him too much. It's too much for him now.
Yeah. Give me Luis Enrique. He'll play the brand of football that Man United fans want. And really and truly, you give him one window, yeah, he will get all we need in midfield. And I'm telling you, if he's here for 2 to 3 years, yeah, Frankie de Jong will end up a Man United player. Because Barcelona are absolute fucking shambles. So
listen, if having Luis Enrique as the manager would get us Frankie de Jong, then he has to be the next choice. That player, the talent he has is unreal. He's an unbelievable player. I'll take Luis Enrique just for that reason alone. But I don't know enough about Luis Enrique. All I know about him is what you guys have told me, because I stopped watching La Liga a very long time ago, even during the MSN era. But if that's true, then I'm all for it, to be honest with you. RDS, next manager or potential manager, who would you like?
This is almost kind of one of the reasons why I almost wanted Ollie to sort of go like last season, because I wanted to get this guy, but there's no way we're going to get him. Put him from Bayern. It was always Nagelsmann was always my first choice. Always, Julian Nagelsmann was just always my first choice as to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just because of what I've seen him doing in Germany. Like his ability to obviously to improve young players is what we always need at Manchester United Football Club, and the style of football that he's meant to play. Like, you know, you can clearly see that him and his coaching staff really coach and develop and improve their players. That's just all I want. I'm not necessarily like I must have a specific brand of football, so long as the football at least is somewhat entertaining to watch, which is what I've seen in Leipzig teams, Hoffenheim teams, etc. But more importantly, that the players that you have are coached, are improved, actually developed, and what have you. I mean, you know, he leaves, you know, Leipzig coaching Werner and Poulsen together, and he makes Timo Werner world class, and Timo Werner goes to Chelsea. And I'm not saying it's all nonsense, but like I don't think it's a complete coincidence that like he made Werner arguably one of the in quote best forwards in Europe, and now he's gone to Chelsea and he's seen as a banter job. You know, that comes somewhat from a coach. But there's no way we're going to get him, unfortunately. So, like, if there was some way that United could say, "Bayern, here's 50 million, we'll take him," I would do that in a heartbeat, to be honest, because I think he's the best to take Manchester United forward. In terms of availability, will Enrique leave the Spanish national team to go to United? Yes. I would imagine so. I mean, I don't know. There are some family things here in the background, maybe. So I don't know whether that's an issue. So if you can't get Enrique, I don't know. I guess try Zidane. So, but like, I don't know whether the Zidane signing is. I love Zidane, but I don't know whether that's like a vanity signing, or it's like we actually have a plan with Zidane, if that makes any sense. Like, what would be our plan with Zidane? So maybe I guess I agree with the rest of you guys. Yeah, as far as it's probably going to be Enrique then, because I can't think of any top manager that's available really.
No, that's fair enough. Before Najee goes, there's a question from Adrian. Says, anyone in Eric Ten Hag hype? What's your thoughts on him? Good style of play and uses youth. Is anyone a fan of Ten Hag?
He was, excuse me. Get ready. Yeah, that's why I had to get more water. That's why I had to my throat's a bit mad from talking shit as always. Yeah, I think Ten Hag is my third choice, pretty much behind Enrique. My first choice was Mancini. Oh, you just put say no more. Mancini was my first choice and has been good 18 months. I know he was at City. However, I feel City mistreated him and that Man City team that he built. If you remember, if you can go back to 2014, maybe I think it was, or 15. Correct me if I'm wrong. When he was in charge of that City team, that's the first time and I admit this as a football fan, not as a United fan, as a football fan, I actually had a bit of respect for Man City to go, raw. You've actually got a really good team here. You look at Craig Bellamy, you look at Sean Wright-Phillips, Gareth Barry, like Stephen Ireland as well. The team that he built was actually challenging Manchester United, especially 2013 before Fergie did his retirement. They were pushing United. It was like I was thinking, right, this team's actually looking quite well. And then obviously they had the big overall of 30 to 40 million pound players, and it was just like, oh, this is shit. Obviously, Man City ended up leaving a couple of times after that, and I think he would feel a type of way about that personally. And I know he's smashed it at the Euros, but just look at the way he plays football. His team play football, and it's not just based on talent, and it's not the intelligence to play in such a style and to be so consistent. That for me is what I want. What I saw in Italy was the pinnacle of Mancini. Like I want to see that at United, like dominating, regardless of age, regardless of talent. Like you can literally just play that brand of football 24/7, and it's not like United haven't got the players to adapt to Mancini's style. And he's ruthless. He is ruthless. If he thinks you're playing shit, you're coming off the bench. Like you're coming onto the bench, man. You're getting subbed, or you're not starting the next game. There's no favoritism. It's standards. That's what I would love to see. So Mancini was my first choice. Now the reality is, can we get him? No. It's an open question of who's your favorite manager, not who's your most realist manager. Big up vibes, man. But you know, Mancini's the one. Secondly, I'd have to go with Enrique. I think he's class. I think me and Danny spoke about this. What we did actually. You know, I want a manager that can take Ollie's rebuild to the next level. That's my idea. I don't want. If anyone says a Conte, you just get me mad, because you're not thinking hard enough. If you're a Conte-inner, all you're looking at is trophies and winning, and maybe a style of football. But you're not understanding that the way Conte plays football, half of the players that we've even brought in that are of any quality, and I put Sancho in there as well, unless Sancho played in a cam role in the hole, he wouldn't get no minutes. I dare say Greenwood
he'd keep McFred. I'm telling you now, he'd keep McFred. Telling you now.
Yeah, he probably would. But either way, what I'm saying to you is, all these rebuilds, ultimately, Conte, and we all know Conte, same way, he's pretty much an LVG. He would want to do another partial rebuild to go, right, I need this player, this player, this player. Youth will get dumped, 100%. And then when the Glazers go, raw, why am I backing you the same way I had to back Ollie? Then it'd be like, okay, well, I throw my prams out the toy, or my toys out the pram, sorry. And then it'll be a case of, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to stop crying and walking. Then we're back to square one. We're back to ultimately David Moyes, that era. Right now, Ollie's pretty much rebuilt the club back to, not to the levels of where Fergie left it, but as close as it could probably ever be and probably ever will be. So we now need to take a manager that can take this group of players and get them to play a style of football that is sustainable, consistent, and dominant. We don't want these big or how can I put it? These expensive rebuilds because we've got another manager. You know, you look at Van Gaal, you look at Jose Mourinho, two completely different styles, wanted two completely different players. How bloody flipping Jose wanted Willian, I was reading at one point. I only found this out, like, I don't know how I missed it in the transfer market, but apparently we wanted Willian. Like, come on, we don't want that again. All he's done the rebuild. The next level is let's get a manager that can take this team and actually flourish, take us to the next level. And it would be Mancini, Enrique, or Ten Hag. Those are only three I can think of that could do that.
As much as I love the fact that we go into deep detail about these things, I just, from what I've seen in the manager points, I just don't think that like the ownership glazers like think in these terms specifically. Like I just think they think in terms of availability and you know, well, yeah, are they available? How much they cost? Like, can we kind of get something like that together? So if a disaster was to happen, then just based on pure availability, that's why I think Zidane would get the job. Because right now, Zidane doesn't have a job now, unless something happens to PSG and Pochettino. And then I think Zidane would probably go to PSG. But just based on
we are in trouble. We are in trouble if that happens, because you know what we get. We're in trouble.
Yeah, I don't want Pochettino. You know what they said about rules of Yu-Gi-Oh. Sorry for the background noise tonight, guys.
I always say as well.
Did he say rules of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah.
Hey, big up my man with the Yu-Gi-Oh card, you know. I got an old school deck from 08. Don't watch me, yeah. I still got it. It's a football show, so we're not talking about that. Well, big up my man.
Yeah. We haven't spoken about the Aston Villa game on Saturday, and it's been an hour and 20 minutes. So quickly, guys.
Someone's background distracted me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's me. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So just Man United vs Aston Villa preview. Go. Indiana, you start.
Okay, so McFred comes straight back in, right? I think we can all agree with that.
Yes.
Ronaldo comes back in. That's it. I expect us to go big against Villa. I'm expecting a 4-0 win. That's what I'm expecting. I don't really know what else to say, really. There's not much else to say. There's a completely different team to what played the other night against West Ham. I think Ronaldo will be pissed. He'll be ready to go. McTominay's back. Yeah. It is what it is. 4-0 has to happen. If not, then I think if we lose this game, we are well on our way to seeing Ollie being sacked. Not straight after this game, but we're on our way to seeing it.
Okay, cool. Cheers. Najee?
As weird as it is, I have to agree with Indiana, like, because of the players that he left.
Wait, why is that weird?
No. Not weird, not weird, and not you're weird, but if you think about the ideology of we know Ollie isn't good enough, but he'll feel the team and the talent will be good enough to overhaul an Aston Villa. And I think that's so weird that he'll probably pull out a 4-0, even though he's such a shit manager on the pitch. And I think this is why we have that divide, because you've got fans who will look at that and go, see, he's sick, he's done 4-0, without understanding probably most of the reason why we get 4-0s is because it's not so much the way we play football, it's because the talent on the pitch is working out themselves. Majority of the time, not all the time, majority of the time. So it looks. So that's why I find it weird, because we can slay Ollie and go this, but then we're predicting getting 4-0. It's not like it's Steve Bruce. Any Newcastle fans who watch this probably don't, but you know what I mean. It is what it is. If you're Steve Bruce knowing he's shit, going, oh yeah, and then we got to go to Burnley, and we probably may get a draw because he's. Do you know what I mean? We know Ollie isn't good enough. We want him out. Well, majority of them want him out. I want him out, but yeah, I would still agree that we could probably do a 4-0. So that's why it's weird in that respect. But just to finish up quickly, because I know obviously we haven't got much time. Aston Villa got a weak team at the moment. They'll have no Twanzebe, who's been starting, so they'll have inconsistency in the centre-back area. Leon Bailey, my brother. He's not my brother, but obviously Jamaica and that, come on, but, all of that. Do you know what I mean? I think he's going to be out as well. I can't see Villa turning this over unless our team just don't turn up and we do a young boys. In that respect, and Ollie ends up getting his changes all wrong because he's so hot and flustered that we're going 1-0 down again. It's all mad. So I'm going to go 3-1. Still think we'll concede, but yeah, I think it'll be a high-scoring game. So 3-1 United.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Bean Talk says Fabrizio just said Boredom players are backing Ollie. It is just the fans that do not back him. Apparently, the fans know more than the Boredom players.
Listen, I've said before, whatever we think of him, within the football club, they're pulling in the same direction as they should be because they're professionals, right? Working towards something. We're fans, though. Yeah, what we say shouldn't really affect them. So when people try to do that type of, and bear in mind, I'm already in, but when people try to do that type of, I don't know if that's reverse psychology or what, I don't know what you call that, but it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Honestly, we can be fans and chat the most shit. We can chat. I can chat garbage and be wrong, but it's my right to do that. It doesn't impact the football club pulling in the right direction within themselves. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear that. Danny, what are you making of Aston Villa on Saturday?
So I completely disagree with Najee. I think that the players, I think that the structure, actually, I think that the young boys result and the West Ham result in the cup games and some performances in the league. I'm just looking at the league, right? Some bad performances have actually taken away from some really, really important structural changes with this team. And you know me, Rachel, I'll be looking at details that other people don't. That's why I have the name that I have. And the passing trends of this team and the patterns of play and the adjustments we've made from last year are so obvious. Like, it's weird because I'm breaking down the games and I'm like, okay, we're playing this pass between the lines, but we're not doing, after that pass goes between the lines, we're not doing what we need to do, but that pass is going where it needs to. Then I just went onto Y Scout and looked at the passing trend and I saw it and I was like, oh shit. And when I send you the pictures, Rachel, you'll see what I mean, what I'm talking about. So in all of these games, Southampton, Wolves, and the Newcastle game and the West Ham game, I've seen our build-up structure actually, I've seen it work. It's been inconsistent, it's been patchy, but for me, it's because of the player performance. And this Aston Villa game, I think it's going to be a game when everything comes together, partly due to, I think, we're due a performance, right, from the players. Whatever you think of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, these players haven't performed as individuals to the standard they can, regardless of him and the coaching. Yeah. So I think the game against Villa is a game where it's going to happen. And I can't wait because once we start scoring from these patterns of play, I can add it to all the shit I've already got. And I'll put it out on Twitter and tell man, what are you telling me about patterns of play? Look at this right here. So yeah, I think 4-0, but I think it's going to be good football. I think we're going to kill them in transition because they're stupid enough to attack us. And I love teams that are stupid enough to come at us. You don't want to be low block, fine. Give us space. I dare you. I dare you to give us space. So, yeah, I think we'll put this League Cup result behind us, and I think it'll be a 4-0 as well. Actually,
yeah, that's fair enough. Like, 50, I agree.
50 game plan for performance.
Okay. No, I agree. The players, I've said for the past couple of weeks, these players need to start stepping up in the games. They haven't been good enough. I don't care if Pogba has 7 assists. He hasn't been that great. Sancho, I agree, he needs time, but he hasn't been too great either. Bruno has had good moments, and then he's had his typical erratic nonsense. I cannot understand it at all. And so on. Like Luke Shaw, Maguire started the season slow, etc., etc. So these players need to step up in the next few weeks, especially. But RDS, what do you reckon? 4-0 as well? Are we 4-0 FC again?
No, I think 4-0 is a bit of a stretch. Although Villa have sort of started somewhat inconsistently this season. I think mostly it seems that away record hasn't been that great. They've not travelled great away, although they did surprisingly beat Everton. Well, was it surprising? I don't know. They beat Everton 3-0 at home. So it looks like their away record hasn't been that great, and obviously we are playing at home, so there's an advantage there. I agree with Danny that like you can see a change in our pattern of play, and we are during performance, not just the fact that these guys are some of the most expensive paid players in the league. So just as a profession, they need to just sort of step up and just play football. But I don't think it's going to be a 4-0. I think probably conventionally, I think we'll probably concede a goal because we seem to struggle to keep clean sheets. Although, even though we've not kept clean sheets, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I look at our defense, and maybe it's because Varane obviously being there. Most likely it's probably because of Varane, but I do feel a lot more comfortable watching it. I'm not as nervous watching it now as I was in the previous season. You know what I mean? And when I look at some of the goals that we conceded, I'm like, I can't say it's because like of a we had a completely defensive, disorganized calamity, which I think is a marked improvement over last season. Because most last season, a lot of the time I was like, oh my god, we're gonna concede from a set piece. We're gonna concede from you know, I don't know, Maguire not communicating or whatever. You know, like we're gonna like, you know, Lindelof and Maguire need to be protected, etc., etc. But from the games that I've seen, even though we haven't kept a clean sheet, I don't feel like the goal necessarily is going to come because like our defense is completely disorganized. I'm liking the Bakachi, Maguire and Varane have. I think it's just going to come from like a mistake or an issue with our midfield that leaves the defense exposed or whatever.
Sorry, Red. Oh, yes, it is a statistical fact. We've made the most errors, individual errors, leading to like a shot on goal or a goal than any other team.
Yeah, it's 5, isn't it? I think I read it was 5.
Yeah, it's 5.
So you're saying that from like a what defensive point of view?
No, I'm saying your point. The stats back up what you're saying. We've made errors to goal, individual. Statistically, it comes up as an individual error.
Yeah. So it's weird because like in that sense, like I'm going into this game thinking like, you know, okay, I might concede, but like I'm thinking that we probably should win. But I'm going into the game like winning because like I'm not worried that we're going to concede 2 or 3 goals. Not just because of Villa, but just because going into this, like I do with a defense improve. So really, and the thing is, even this whole conversation we're having, what we're actually talking about is actually, you know, our strikers, our forwards need to turn up. You know, our midfield needs to turn up. Like they need to be creative. They need to be creative with their passing. They need to. We're not actually talking about the fact that our defense is a shambles and De Gea is past his prime and whatever. Which, to be frank, were talking points over the last 2 years. So long as like our forwards turn up, and so long as obviously Pogba, Bruno, you know, do what they have to do, we should win this game, and we should comfortably win other games because we have finally a somewhat comfortable foundation from our backline to build on. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Welcome, Mohammed. Late again. No, I understand. I agree. I think we should be winning the game, and yeah, performance has to be there. We were owed that performance. Danny, you wanted to share something? I've got it up for you. The graphic. You want to talk us through it because obviously background noise issues for me.
Yeah, sorry to get nerdy. Just want to show this very, very quickly. So this graphic here, I recreated this because I can't copyright where I got it from. So this here, these are our strongest combinations in terms of passing. So they call these trends. These are the strongest trends we have as a result of our passing combinations last season, right? So that's the whole of last season. That's what it looks like. So if your brain tells you, your common sense tells you, we have more combinations down the left-hand side. So that's my newborn making a little sound there. This backs it up, right? You can see all the combinations down the left-hand side are very, very strong. But obviously what you see is weak here, through midfield going to the right-hand side, from 8 to 6, not good. From 6 to the fullback, not good. From 6 to 11, not good. From central midfield to the right wing, you can see, not very good at all. It's actually quite bad. I haven't got City's and Liverpool's head. When you look at their trends, they're strong in both flanks. In fact, Chelsea the same as well. Very, very strong on the flanks from last season even. And if we go to the next graphic, Rachel, I put them in different colours. The purples is where the changes happen. The what do you call it? The shape has changed slightly as well. The front three are a lot more closer together. You can see, and that's mainly due to the fact Paul Pogba's played on the left. Of course, common sense there, but it's those purple lines, those passes between the lines. This is the thing, because of horrible performances, people have missed the fact that pass between the lines has been happening a lot more. And as you can see, from 6 to 8 to the fullback position down the right hand side, it's, if you go back to the previous one, Rachel, just go back one and come back again. You see how the link come back. You see the difference. Particularly in that West Ham game, I can't remember the last time we penetrated down the right-hand side in that game. It was so consistent over the course of 90 minutes. I say consistent. It happened a lot of times over the course of 90 minutes. It weren't consistent throughout the game. But yeah, we don't normally do that. So these adjustments, I think they're gonna. I think we're gonna benefit from this adjustment. You'll see it in the West Ham game. You'll see it when the ball's been going into the 7 and the 10 from the middle. What hasn't been happening is the combinations to then penetrate the back four haven't been happening. Whether that's because the coaches aren't emphasizing it, whether that's because the players ain't quite sharp, we can debate that till the cows come home, as they say. But in terms of the build-up structure this season, the adjustments have actually worked very, very well. It's just the performances have just I don't know how to describe it. It's difficult to care. Why would you even care when the players aren't performing well? Why would you care about this? The reason why I care is when we start playing well and there is structure to it, just don't be surprised. It is difficult when you're losing games to actually pay attention and look at the structures. It actually, beyond the player performance, where the players positioned correctly was the idea, right? When Fred was on the ball, did Fred have passing lanes he could have went to that he wasn't confident to hit? If you were thinking about the game in that way, you'd be saying yes, 100% every day of the week. But I just wanted to just put that up very, very quickly. I'm sorry to get all nerdy on people, but yeah, just wanted to.
No, that was a good read.
No, absolutely. Right, we were supposed to speak about the Villarreal game as well, but obviously it's been an hour and a half and people have life. So, guys, we might have to just end it here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to Najee, RDS, Danny, and obviously Papa Indy as well. I have shared the Twitter accounts below. I'm so sorry for the background noise today. It's just been a joke, but I've shared all the links below. So make sure you follow these guys on Twitter and keep up to date with what they're doing and their channels, and make sure you follow their channels as well. But yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, thank you guys, and we will speak to you again next week, next Thursday at same time next week anyway. But take care, everyone, and yeah, we will speak to you guys soon.
Peace.
Layers.
Salute.